I seem to have noticed that within today's modern generation of technology and this human civilization of the modern day generation, where within the structures of today's society, you start to realize and you find true individualism as well as intellectual minded of people are becoming diminished. You know, it's like we have finally become a dying breed. That it seems like we no longer exist much. There's only a select handful of but a few of us that is still around. Because myself, I've always been into the entire music and the culture, well, black metal and rock and roll culture since I was like 10, 12 years old. And I'm 22 now. And for people that say, oh, it's a phase that certain people go through, I don't believe that. Not even in the least. Because I know for a certain fact that I would never surrender of who I am inside. If it's the last thing that will ever happen to me, And there seems to be an obvious lack in appreciation of anything much, artistic, any much longer within our society today. It's truly something that I strongly believe that it is really unfortunate. And instead, in today's society, you find that a lot of the people, for the majority aspect, are nothing more than carbon copies of one another. I find clothing like what I wear I find it to being expressive, artistic, and as well as a statement, as I attempt to inspire other people to, push the boundaries, to push the envelope, to express of who they are. Kind of more or less stand out from the crowd, but of course each individual person has their own sense or form or aspect to expressing themselves. It's like, honest to God, I have no problem of people who decide to waste their time, waste their valuable time to do nothing but stare at you. Because obviously they have nothing better else to do. And a lot to do with is the feelings of, the negative feelings of jealousy and envy. Just people end up being jealous for absolutely no reason at all. Because they envy you and they don't have enough spine to, be who they are, and to do with it, to express themselves freely. A lot of the people, they worry too much about being criticized constantly, and it's one of the most unfortunate things that within our society today, many of us do not have the capabilities to think on our own. Even to let alone to be proud of who we are, and just having to express ourselves without fear of rejection or criticism or oppression and otherwise. I absolutely love, I absolutely love to research and learn and get to befriend those of other, cultures and heritages, cultures and traditions of people that I find is the most intriguing and like a sense of a breath of fresh air. That I believe that if all of us get to do that, learn about one another's cultures and traditions, the more of a peaceful tranquility that our society would become ultimately. And it's just absolutely inspiring, to say the least. I hope to myself that people actually do wake up to the truth. As, they become more open-minded and intelligent, to the point where they can be accepting of one another, and people wouldn't have to fear rejection or their own insecurity. Ever since I was 10 years of age was when I first started getting into the entire, death metal, black metal, the whole classic rock and roll scene and its culture. And 22 years of age now, and I would never trade that for who I am inside for anything in a world that has to offer. To actually conform to society would be the last thing to happen to me. Because surrendering of who I am is simply not worth anything in the world, to be honest. I think people should definitely be proud of who they are. They should never surrender that. They should learn to reject any negative criticism or what other people think about them, and just be proud of who you are.